DNS Live. You know, this is the first show. We've missed the first two. Sorry about that. We had computer issues, and then we had a little hospital visit last week, so we kind of didn't get the show off like we wanted to, but we're getting it off tonight. I'm glad you guys can make it. It is so weird being on during the daylight and being on early, but I think it's going to be pretty good. Next week we'll have a new show on after me, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show. So I think you guys are going to be pretty pleased with Thursday nights. Now we're going to kind of kick it in the ass and get it going. So tonight we're going to start off. We've been seeing a lot of questions and some requests on the NPS page about investigations. We're starting to see people post some pictures that are a little questionable. Kind of want to go back to the basics of investigating. Let's look at what we need to do to get ready for an investigation. I'm going to kind of take it from the standpoint of working with a client, but this would apply to any public location you might go to, a cemetery that you might go to, really any investigation. So we really have to think not just within the paranormal realm of taking pictures and capturing video and EVP, but we really need to look at the environment and everything around us as well as we're starting to investigate. So we're going to kind of start with the basics. If you're new to the field, this is going to be right up your alley because we're going to walk through step by step. And I'm going to take a couple of weeks to do this because I really want to go through it before you start watching us go live on investigations so that things make sense to you. You understand why we're doing some of the things that we're doing, why we look funny doing some of the stuff that we do, because we really need to get an understanding of things. We can't just, and it's been happening, we can't just post a picture out there on the NPS site and say, I caught an orb. We've been seeing a lot of that. This picture's paranormal. Guys, we've got to start and debunk, and we've got to look at a bunch of stuff. So we're going to start with investigations. We're going to start kind of with a ghost hunting 101. You guys, a lot of this information you will be able to find on the NPS page. I'll make reference to it where I've got it marked. We're kind of going to go through a slide presentation tonight, which is different for DNS Live, and we are doing it different, so get used to it. And then a lot of this information as well is on the DNS Paranormal Crew page underneath the Ghost Hunting 101 tab. So if you guys ever want to go back and look at some stuff, look at some steps, or even print some stuff out, you can find it there as well. So let's go ahead, let's get started. The first picture that we're going to look at, what's involved in pre-investigative work. This is actually a picture from Eastern State Penitentiary, and I can't talk tonight. This is actually taken by Scott Frederick, who is one of our sponsors. This is one of those really active places that a lot of people have been to, so I just thought it was fitting to start off the show tonight. So we're going to go ahead and move to the next slide, and we're going to talk about proving and disproving. So one of my favorite quotes here from Sherlock Holmes is, how often have I said to you that when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. This can apply to so many different things, guys. This can apply to so much, but we're going to apply it to the paranormal and to investigating, especially when we're looking at ruling things out and debunking. We've got to take away what we know first before we can get to what we don't know and start looking at it being paranormal. So let's go ahead and let's get to it here tonight. What is a paranormal investigation? You guys, we've heard it called ghost hunting. We've heard it called paranormal investigations. What is a paranormal investigation? There is a difference between the two. You'll hear people talk about it. Ghost hunting is the process of going and looking for a location to find activity, where a paranormal investigation is where you're actually taking your equipment and you're conducting an investigation. You're actually looking for something. So let's get down to the slide. A paranormal investigation is the process of investigating locations, residences, and or businesses that are reported to be haunted or have paranormal activity, sometimes referred to as ghost hunting. Now remember, we just said there's a difference. An investigation differs in that ghost hunting is simply looking for haunted locations, where investigations are controlled research and investigations conducting at a location with paranormal activity to determine the level of activity and spirit involvement. So we've got two different things. Teams are going to go out, they're going to go ghost hunting. They're going to look for a location that is active. You're doing your research, you're scoping it out. You've had a client call, you've had a business client call. You're ghost hunting, you're looking for a location. A paranormal investigation is where you've found this location, then you're going off and you are going to do actual work. You're not just looking to see, you're not just taking your pictures of the area so you can go back home and kind of, hey, what do I think about this? A paranormal investigation, you are actually doing the work. You're actually showing up, you're documenting, you're taking pictures, you're videoing, you're doing EVP, you're measuring temperature, you're measuring your EMF, you're working when you're investigating and researching, okay? Typically, an investigation will consist of a team of individuals working together to collect evidence of paranormal activity. We talk about teams. These individuals will employ the use of several types of tools and equipment to scientifically measure and record findings. Such tools include EMF meters, digital thermometers, infrared, thermographic, night vision cameras, handheld video cameras, digital audio recorders, and other types of tools such as your basic flashlights, motion detector lights, dowsing rods, and ghost boxes. So all of these things are things that you're going to bring on an investigation. I don't want to sound basic, but we definitely want to start at the very heart of things here. I'm talking to you as if you've never done this before, so we really want to go over a lot of this stuff. So you're going to get your team together. We're going to talk about who that's going to be here in a little bit, but you're going to get your team together. And a lot of times that team can consist of, like with us, with the crew, it can be 2 of us. It can be up to 4 of us. You can join up with another team. A lot of times you'll see us investigate with Fear Paranormal with Selena. And we're going to start investigating a little bit more next part, which is Jason. We're trying to keep it in the NPS family. It just makes it a little bit easier so everybody's on the same page. But you will see the crew going and investigating with others. And you're going to see us kind of applying some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to the next slide, and let's talk about what are the steps in starting a paranormal investigation. Do you think you know what you're going to do? You're going to get out there on site. What are you going to do? Well, let's think about getting to that point before we even go out and step foot on the location. We want to make sure that we have our training done. And guys, if you're not training, whether you're training yourself or training newbies, you're doing something wrong. You can't just assume that you're going to be there and just take care of stuff. You just can't do that. You've got to have training. You've got to know how to work your equipment. You got to know what you're looking for. You have to know. So make sure you've got proper training. There's a lot of ghost hunting 101 type things on the internet. We're actually working with NPS as a whole to bring you some education information on the website. We're going to be finishing that up pretty soon. And you're actually going to have a packet of information that you can refer to. How awesome is that? There's so much all over the internet. We're going to put it in one place for you. We're going to talk about paperwork. You know, you're going out on these clients' locations, and we need some paperwork. We need some confidentiality agreements. We're going to need some releases. We're going to need some waivers. And the most important thing that you're going to need is your client questionnaire. If you don't have a client questionnaire, you're not prepared to ask all the questions you're going to need to ask to resolve some of the things that are going to be kind of easy when you're investigating. You want to rule out what you know as fact before you get to anything else. That questionnaire is going to help that. You're going to do a client intake, and your client intake is basically your initial interview with your client. Now, this could be somebody emails you on your team page. Somebody gets hold of you on Facebook. You meet somebody at the coffee shop. It's happened. That could be your client intake. You could get an email. You could call them, talk to them on the phone. You could go meet with them. That's going to be your client intake. What you're going to do with that is you're going to basically be doing a beginning interview. So we'll get to that here in a little bit as well. Location research. You want to make sure you research your location. Now, a lot of people, I don't know, there's 50-50 here. A lot of people think that you need to do your research before you go. Kind of gives you that brain on some stuff. Some people think you should do it after. Well, I think it's personal preference. We like to know before we go so that we don't have to go back and get some verification of things. We just like to know ahead of time. So that's personal preference. We'll talk some more about that too. Gathering of the experts. Now, I put this in quotes because there's really no expert in the paranormal field. That's an argument that happens all the time on NPS. There's no certification to give anybody any type of expert opinion in our field. It sucks, but it is what it is. What I'm talking about with gathering of the experts is you want to bring along somebody who knows how to work a camera if you're going to be taking pictures and photographs. Somebody that knows how to work a video camera if they're going to be doing that. You want to have somebody that's knowledgeable on tech, somebody that's knowledgeable on EVPs, the experts. These are people that know what they're doing or enjoy what they're doing. And so a lot of times you want to bring those out. You might even bring out a psychic medium, and I would call that person a quote-unquote expert. That's what their function is on your investigation. And then you want to have a game plan. Do not go on location without a game plan, and don't play it by ear when you get there. You want to be organized. You want to come off as being professional. So let's make sure that we've got a game plan in place. Now, let's go ahead and let's go talk about training. I see you guys in the chat room. All right, for training, we're just going to kind of run through something basic here. This is the cruise outline that we use to train our researchers and first-time investigators. It's also something that we would use when we start doing our public investigations and doing Ghost Hunting 101. We highly suggest that you develop something similar for yourself or your team to ensure everyone is trained similarly. You want to make sure everybody's following kind of the same protocol. This ensures that everybody can work together, you're on the same page, you know what you're doing when you're on the investigation, you know what to expect out of your teammates, you know who's covering what. Involved in our training, we have the DNS Paranormal Crew member paperwork, so we want to make sure we know who you are, we have your information. We know about your health issues. We want to know if you're allergic to something. We need to kind of know that, and guys, you should have some safety information on each one of your team members. We'll get to that, not this week, but we'll get to that coming up. And again, there's more information about health and safety on the NPS website. That's Alan's area, and if you guys have questions, you can message him on the NPS site. You want to make sure that you review the basic guide for ghost hunting and Ghost Hunting 101. That is something that we have on our website, on the cruise website. It will be on the NPS website for you guys to look at as well. Your equipment bag basic requirements. Every investigator, I don't care if you're coming on a public investigation or you're a novice or you're an expert or you think that you're advanced, everybody should have at least a flashlight, a digital recorder, and a digital camera. These should all be ready to go, meaning you've got new batteries in them, you've got extra batteries in them, and they're in your bag, they're ready to go. Mine stays always in my case. The only time I ever take it out is when I get back from an investigation. I'll check everything, and then before I go, I make sure we've got fresh batteries. So those are probably your three most important things that you want, and they're pretty basic, guys. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money to start investigating. You want to make sure that you have your team prayers, your opening and closing prayers, and make sure that you're doing your protection. Some people are Christian, some people aren't, but you'll have your own method of taking care of protecting yourself on an investigation. You want to make sure that you take your EMF readings, and you want to make sure you have a general understanding of EMF. Again, this information is on the resource tab of the NPS website, where you can read about EMF and understand that. You want to take a baseline reading when you get there, and you want to walk around your location when you're doing your pictures, we'll talk about that too, and get your readings, guys. This is a scientific investigation. We're not going to play, we're not going to have fun. Temperature readings, you want to do that with your EMF. You want to establish a baseline at the beginning, throughout, and at the end of the investigation. We talk about cold spikes. How are we going to know if it was a degree or not? Because we took our readings. EVP sessions. Guys, when you're doing your EVP sessions, make sure when you turn that recorder on that you notate where you are, the date, and who's with you. Further, if you're going to be in a room with people, have everybody say their name. That way when you go back to review, you've got something to refer back to. You go, oh, hey, that was Deegan's voice, or oh, hey, that was Michelle's voice. You've got a way to know. And also do your burst sessions. We use 2 recorders when we go out. We use one when we step out of the car. That's on until the time that we get back in the car. And then we've got one we use for burst sessions. Do what you guys feel comfortable with, but it actually gives us a little bit more of an edge, because if I hear it on one, I can check the other one and see if I've got it. So that's just some useful advice there. You can carry 3 if you want. And you can put one in the room, and then you've got 3 to compare it to. You want to center yourself. Guys, before you go out on an investigation, leave the drama from home at home. Don't bring the negativity to the investigation, because you're just going to ruin it. Make sure you're positive. Make sure you've got positive vibes. Make sure you're maintaining that positivity throughout the investigation. We used to do, when we had a larger team, we used to go out to team dinner before an investigation and just kind of enjoy each other's company and socialize before we went and investigated. We got better results that way. So I'm telling you, if you can walk into your investigation positive, you're going to get better results. So let's make sure we get that positivity kick in there. You know, you may have had a bad day at work. You may have had an argument with your significant other or somebody else, a coworker or whatever. Leave it at the door when you go investigate. And if you can't, and if it's really bothering you, don't go investigate, because you're going to ruin it for everybody else, okay? Be sensitive to your surroundings. Everybody has a gut instinct when they go somewhere. You walk in on a location, you automatically think, oh my gosh, I've got such and such feeling, or I feel this being drawn. I've done that recently on a client investigation that we just did a couple of weeks ago, where I'm talking to the client and getting some more information, and I'm just drawn to one room. So I had to stop right there and ask her, hey, what's going on with this room? Well, it happened to be one of the rooms where they were having some activity. So you guys, be sensitive to your surroundings and trust your gut instincts. Take pictures. Didn't we talk about taking pictures? The number one thing that I can tell you guys about taking pictures on an investigation, use the 1, 2, 3 rule. Go into every room of your location and shoot at least 3 pictures, okay? You want to make sure that you've got enough to compare back to, because what happens when you get on your investigation and you capture something, you're in the dark, first off, so your flash may or may not have gone off. You may be working with infrared. You may be working with night vision. If you've got a regular picture of that room to compare back to, you're going to know whether or not that was a doily sitting on the table or not, okay? So make sure you are taking at least a minimum of 3 pictures of each area. And if you want to make a special note about something, take a couple more, okay? You can never take enough pictures to refer back to. It's one of the things that we've been running into on the NPS page is we will ask you, you post a picture, I want to see a before and after. Remember, we took 3 pictures, and I want to see a picture of the room. I've never been there. You have the benefit of being there. We've never been there, and you're asking us to make comments on what we see. Show me the location so I know what I'm seeing, because, guys, we haven't been there, and a lot of people don't keep that in mind when you're posting your photographs on NPS. So make sure that you take at least 3. And make sure you take video footage. You know, a lot of us like to walk through just at the very beginning and just take kind of a quick video of the area. It helps you later. I guarantee you, you are not going to remember what your client side or the building looks like when you get home and you've slept, because you're going to be so tired. Take a video. Be smart right up front. Do all your documentation and have that mindset of, hey, I'm going to need something to refer back to. So just do it right up front, okay? And then you also want to know how to review evidence. Guys, it's not just about sitting there and you know, being like the guys on the TV shows and we've got somebody reviewing for us. No, we have to do that ourselves. So you need to know how to review evidence. So those are just some of the basic things for training that you want to go over with your team, that you want to go over before you take a first-time investigator out, what you want to do if you're doing public events, if you're doing fundraisers, so that everybody knows. And you can do a really quick Ghost Hunting 101 with newbies and kind of cover a few of those things, or you can take them with you on the investigation, show them how to do it firsthand. Now, I did notice something in the chat room, and thank you, ParaBuff, for bringing it up. It's one of the other things that you kind of want to cover. If you're going out at night, which most of us do, and it's okay to investigate during the day, it really is. You want to go when there's more activity, but make sure you eat, because you're going to hear somebody's stomach growling, and somebody's going to go, oh my gosh, I've just heard a demon. Yeah, if you want to call my stomach a demon, you just heard a demon, but make sure you eat, okay, and make sure your food is settled so that you're not burping and farting. Yes, it has happened while you're investigating, so let's just make sure that we've got it all, you know, situated. You've eaten, you've taken the steps that you need to take to make sure that you're kind of taking care of yourself while you're on that investigation. Make sure you've got plenty of water. Yep, you guys are going, I am reading your post, bud. Make sure you've got plenty of water. You guys can bring snacks, but make sure that you keep all that stuff in whatever you're going to put, whatever room you're going to have as your control room in your brain center for the night. So make sure all that stuff stays back there. You don't want to be snacking on peanuts and snacking on Cheetos and trying to do an EVP. That's just rude. Take a break, okay? So let's go ahead. Let's look at the paperwork involved. A lot of you guys, yes, and if you do pass gas, tag it. Guys, I'm going to tell you something kind of on a side note. It's kind of funny. The very first investigation I went to Hill House Manor up in Gainesville, and you guys can Google that and take a look at the place. Upstairs in the window room, they have a wood floor, and there's not a whole lot of furniture in there, but it's a very active room. And we had a pretty decent-sized group. I want to say we probably had about 15 people that night. And so we decided at 3 o'clock we were going to do dead time. That was a cool thing to do. It's the witching hour. We're going to sit and do dead time. So everybody sat in a circle. We all had our recorders going. I had my earbud in, and we're just quiet. We decided we were going to do that for about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. And so we're sitting there, and you know, everybody's kind of looking at each other, and we're looking to see if we see anything. So we're sitting in the dark, and we're scared out of our minds, right? And all of a sudden, one of the girls in the group just lets out this loud fart, and it rattled on the floor. It was the funniest thing ever. But you know what? You still have to tag it, and you still have to own it. So you know what? It happens, guys. Just own it and move on, okay? But make sure that you are, notating coughs and sneezes and burps and farts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it sounds funny. It's nice bathroom humor, but let's make sure we're tagging it, okay? So, and if you guys are in the chat room, there's some funny stuff going on. Just make sure you tag everything, okay? The other thing that I can stress across to you while we're talking about audio recording is don't whisper. Just go ahead and talk. Don't whisper, because we're going to mistake that for an EVP, so just don't do it. And we always tell our clients, if you're going to talk to us while we're there and we've got the recorder running, just talk. There's no need to whisper, okay? So let's look at some paperwork. A lot of people do not go through the full process of taking care of full paperwork. And I've actually had some people tell me that I have too much paperwork. I have a paralegal background, so I'm going to have a lot of paperwork. I want to make sure I'm covered, you're covered, and whoever's on the property is covered. So we have within our packet of paperwork, we have a packet for our client, and then we have a separate packet that we use for our team. So within all of this, we're going to have the client questionnaire, which is a couple of pages. We're going to have a client information release form. We're going to have a disclosures and expectations form for our clients so they know what to expect. We're going to have a release of liability. We're going to have a site access agreement. And this is more important, not so much for your private locations, but more for your public locations, more for your commercial locations that you have a site access agreement. That way, let's say that the owner comes and meets you, hands over keys, and they leave for the night, and you're the only people on the property. You have a site access agreement in case the cops show up and are asking what you're doing there. You can show them that you're not trespassing. You're going to have a mutual release form, and you're going to have your waivers, and then you're going to have your log forms, which is for your team. So as we start building the education portion of the NPS website, these forms are going to be available to you. We're actually putting together a packet that you can download and keep in use as an NPS affiliate. So make sure you've got all your paperwork. You can never be too covered because you never know what's going to happen. Just cover your butts, guys, because, I mean, we work in a field where we're not certified. We don't get paid for it. So it's better to be overly safe than not safe enough. So let's go ahead and let's talk about client intake. Client intake, like we kind of talked about a while ago, that's going to be the initial contact with a client. It will usually be an email or a phone call. If you're signed up on the NPS site, you're going to have your information there. So that's where the client's going to find you. That's where, when we as reps are guiding people on the page looking for teams, that's where they're going to go to get your information. So that's going to be your first contact with your client. During that conversation, it's important to gather as much information as possible from the client over the phone. You're going to kind of determine whether you need to go out or not. You want to have a brief summary of what's going on in the home, in the business. You want to gather enough information from the client to begin to do some research in determining whether or not there's a valid case here. You take it a step further with scheduling a client interview in person to complete the client questionnaire. A lot of times what I do is I will spend some time on the phone with the client, take some notes, get an address, and I'll start doing some research because you want to know some history about the land, history about the location, about the house, that type of stuff. So you want to make sure you take some notes. It can be a short intake, it can be a long intake. That's up to you. If you've got 15 minutes and you just want to get some information and, determine whether these people are pulling your chain or not, it does happen. You take as long as you need to get the information that you need to make a judgment call as to whether or not you need to go out or not. We do have some individuals that will suffer from mental illness, grief, some type of emotional type of thing. So when you're talking to them on the phone, you can pretty much determine what's really going on with them, if it's something worth going out for or not. We don't get paid for this. We don't get gas money. So, you kind of determine from this very first initial contact whether you're going out or not and how much more information you need. So with the client intake, make sure that you get what you need in that first phone call so that you can do the research that you need to do. All right, so let's talk about the location research. Location research, now guys, these slides were made for 2 weeks ago before Shannon talked about pre-investigation research. That information you won't see it this week on the website or on the NPS members page on Facebook, but you will find it underneath the resources tab of the NPS website. And I'm telling you right now, go bookmark it because it is excellent, excellent, excellent information. One of the things that Shannon said, and I kind of top level summed it here, was to use Google to see if the town has a local historical society. look at the county's I can't even pronounce this word, genealogical websites. You want to visit the Historical Society, and local libraries. Some libraries will have old newspapers on microfilm where you can actually read the stories about what happened there. If there was a fire, if there was a murder, a death, anything like that. It's kind of cool to look it up on microfilm. And don't forget to research land deeds as well. To learn more about researching your location, and this is when we were talking about stopping by the NPS page, go by the NPS website. Look at, and you will see this graphic up there on the resources tab. Look at the information that Shannon pulled together. Print it out, bookmark those websites that she's given us. It is awesome information, and I can tell you right now, DNS has been called in to help another team do some research of a very old building. We're going to be going off in 2 weeks to take care of this. And I just started talking with a client this week, and I found out the building was made or built in 1880. And it has been anywhere from an opera house to a movie theater to a church. And I found out that there was a fire there. So using the information that Shannon's given us, I can kind of go look at some more areas to get some more background on that. So I'm telling you, if you're going to a historical site, even if you're not, I mean, it's worth it to take a look at the land and see, you know, how far back does it go and what happened on it? Because a lot of times that can have something to play into what's going on with the activity there. So make sure you do your location research. Again, some people don't like to know ahead of time, and some people do. It's a judgment call. For me, I don't want to waste my time having to keep going back out there because I didn't do it the first time. Then I got to do my location research. Now I've got a question I've got to get answered. I've got to go back out. I'd rather know ahead of time and address it while I'm there. Saves time, saves my client's frustration because I can take care of the issue a little bit ahead of time. All right, so let's take a look at gathering the experts. Now, remember I told you there is no expert in our field. I cannot stress that to you enough. I don't care if you have a certificate on a piece of paper that says that you're a certified paranormal investigator. I'm going to call bullshit on that because you know what? There's no certification for that. Guys, you know, our field has been around. We've had researchers doing this forever, and we still really haven't gotten that far. We're still not completely recognized by the scientific community as being something legit. We have no way to measure some of the stuff that we do, so there really is no expert. You might have a professional photographer or a professional videographer or somebody that knows what they're doing with that type of thing. That's completely different than saying that you're an expert in the paranormal field, okay? Don't want to see it on the NPS page anymore because it drives us crazy. I'm just going to tell you that right now. There's no expert. You can have experience in the field, but you're not an expert, okay? I know it's probably going to piss some people off, and I really don't care. So, yeah, Diva called bullshit. You guys, you got the NPS reps in the chat room here, so say hello to everybody. All right, gathering the experts. So after you've conducted your client intake and you've done your research on your client's location, determine who from the team needs to be involved. Now, some teams are large and they have 10 to 12 people, and they'll kind of divvy up who goes where. Now, we have a small team. I like having a small team. We will actually pull other team members together. So we will say, hey, Selena, you want to come join us for this? Or hey, Jason, you want to come join us for this? We will pull who we feel we need to, or who we want to work with, or who we know has got, you know, some experience in that area to come out with us. It's just smart, guys. I mean, I'm not going to go out to a location without a psychic medium. You know, I have my own gift. I still second guess it, but I'm still going to take a medium with me. I'm still going to take somebody that knows how to work a camera. Be smart about this. I mean, you owe it to your client. So find out who needs to be involved and who you need to have join you. Most teams will allow a team case manager, the founder, and or the lead investigator to go actually meet with the client in person for the first time. And at that point, they'll conduct a full interview and a mini investigation to determine if there's a true need for a full investigation with the entire team. So larger teams actually have people with titles. Hey, we have a lot of Indians, right? So they'll have a case manager, the founder, and the lead investigator to go out and kind of take an initial look and visit with the client. Take a look at their location. They'll do a little mini investigation just to see, hey, yeah, you know, there is something here. Or no, that was really a squeaky board, or the house isn't leveling, that's why the door's opening and shutting. They'll go out and do that initial set. Now, us as a small team, I wear a lot of hats, Deegan wears a lot of hats, and our junior investigators, they wear a lot of hats too. So we kind of take care of it on our own, and then we'll actually call in other people to come and help us. But usually when we go out to meet with a client for the first time, there's about 4 of us that go. And a lot of times if I know I want to pull somebody in to help us with that investigation, especially if it's from another team, I'll have them there too because I want to get their input as well. Now, for DNS Paranormal Crew, our client interviews are handled by both founders of the team. Deegan and I will actually go out and talk to the client. We determine from the intake if we need to take additional folks with us to get a read on the client location or to help conduct the mini investigation. A lot of times you'll see Selena join us, and Selena's in the chat room. Selena, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you coming out and helping me with that. And now that we've got Jason connected, we're going to wear him out too, aren't we, Selena? We're going to give him a run for his money. From there, we determine what steps need to be taken next. Do we need to return to do a full-blown investigation, or did we capture enough with our mini investigation to form a solid game plan? Now, you guys, a lot of times, you can actually sit down with that mini investigation and kind of come up with what's going on in the house. You kind of know, the mental state of your client. You will know if they're balanced. You will know if there's really something going on. You can tell a lot once you get on site. And again, remember we talked about kind of your gut instinct and being sensitive to your surroundings. You're going to know. You're going to know whether they're filling you full of bullshit or not. So, guys, just be aware when you go out. I can't say it any other way. Just be aware when you go out. Be aware of the surroundings. When we go, I usually will sit down with a client and Deegan will walk around the area and come back and we kind of talk about some things. So I just can't stress it enough. Just be aware of what's going on. You're going to know if your client is taking medications. If they tell you that they're not, a lot of times you can excuse yourself to the bathroom and find out if they are, especially if they're talking about certain things. You want to rule that out. So just be aware and use some common sense there, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about the game plan. Now, your game plan when you come back, so you've done a client intake, you've talked to them on the phone, you've gone out and you've met with them. And we're kind of applying this more towards a residential investigation, a personal client, as opposed to a business, but you can apply it to both. But you want to establish a game plan. So you've gone out, you've done a mini investigation, you've gotten some EVPs, you've gotten something that's happened that, you know what, we need to go back and do a full-blown investigation. We need to bring out the DVR. We really need to spend a couple of hours there investigating. So your game plan, you want to look at what are your intentions with conducting the investigation? What do you intend to do? Does this person have a demon? I doubt it, okay? Let's quit talking about demons being everywhere just because we've got activity. Just because your house is quote-unquote active doesn't mean you have a demon. That's probably the biggest thing that we see. It's not a demon. You're going to have other activity that happens with a demon. Look at the NPS page underneath the demonology department and take a look at the steps that happen with that, okay? You might have an evil, quote-unquote, spirit, but you know what? That's going to be an angry spirit. An angry spirit is completely different than an evil spirit, which is completely different from a demon, okay? You might have a spirit that is your grandfather that is pissed off at you because you sold this watch, okay? Not a demon, right? So figure out what your intentions are when you get there. If you figure out it is somebody that's related to the family that, you know, they just had a message they wanted to get across and then they need to be released to the other side. What are your intentions with conducting that investigation, okay? You need to have a game plan. I'm also going to stop for a minute and read from the chat room that, you know what, Candy does a lot of stuff that we don't do. We do it behind the scenes. But when they do a walkthrough with the client, they'll take him into the bathroom and open up the medicine cabinet and ask right there. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Do it empathetically and seriously, and they'll be honest with you. Guys, you're there to help them. They're wanting your help. They reached out to you for a reason. Ask the questions, okay? You gotta know, or else you can't address it. If somebody is taking a medication and it's causing them to have these issues, we've had somebody on the NPS page recently with this. They need to be upfront with you about that. And if they're not taking their medication, you need to figure out why. We won't conduct an investigation unless we know why, okay? Are you planning to address the spirits that are causing issues? You need to know that. That's part of your intentions for this investigation. Will you need to consult with a specialist? And when I talk about a specialist, I talk about a medium or a psychic. Are you going to need to figure out who the spirit is? Do you need a demonologist? Again, do you need a demonologist? Look at the steps for a haunting, for a demonic haunting, to figure that out. Don't just start rattling off you got a demon. Do you need a shaman? Do you need a Christian priest? Do you need a Wiccan priest? Do you need a pagan? You know, what is your client's religion? what would they feel comfortable with having there, okay? Take all of that into consideration because it does affect your investigation and your results, okay? Then, one big thing to note, do not go into a client's home and leave them twiddling their thumbs after you've left. Give them some sort of expectation. That's why you're coming up with a game plan, because you're going to sit down with them and you're going to let them know what the expectations are. Again, part of our paperwork is our disclosures and expectations. We lay it out for our client when we first meet with them, and we sign that piece of paper. They know what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and when to hear back from us, okay? Don't leave your clients just sitting there with no feedback, wondering when they're going to hear back from you, okay? A lot of teams have a 2-week rule, and that 2-week rule includes reviewing evidence and coming back and doing a reveal. Now, if they figure out they need to do more investigative work, they need to bring somebody else back to look at some stuff, it's a 2-week rule, okay? You should be following up with your client. I like to follow up with mine the next day just to kind of check and see how things went that night since we were there. I like to follow up with them throughout the week. It could be something as short as an email. If they're on Facebook, you can send them a Facebook message. Just touch base with them and let them know that you haven't forgotten about them, okay? It's being professional. How many of us have had dental work done and the dentist calls you that night and the next day to check on you, okay? It's just a personal touch to let them know, hey, you're a human, I'm a human. We're really in this to help you out, okay? We're not in this to make money, guys. We're in this to help other people. So let's kind of have some empathy and reach out to them, okay? Do not leave them empty-handed. If you tell them you're going to come back and take care of things, by God, get out there and take care of it, okay? That's what gives the community a bad rap, is the teams that don't go back and take care of it, okay? Or the ones that stir it up even worse. Again, why we're talking about step 1 with investigations. Let's start at the beginning, let's work through, and then let's get it applied, okay? So, make your game plan. Put it in writing. This can be something that you've even got outlined out from your client intake call is, hey, we need to address these issues, and if this happens, this is what we need to do, okay? Have a game plan. It's just smart. Now, our next steps, and we're going to kind of finish a little early, so we'll talk about some other stuff too, but the next steps that we're going to do is we're going to cover the client interview process in more depth. I might actually get to the point where I record a client interview and you can kind of hear the conversation. You want to know what the steps are leading up to the initial investigation, which include equipment review, processes, and consulting with a specialist. We're going to kind of look at that too. So if you have questions regarding that, get them to me so we can address them. At the end of this entire series of walking through how to do an investigation, we're going to direct you to the NPS website for project education. I am hoping that we can start getting stuff put up there. We're reviewing some more paperwork and trying to make sure that we are very thorough about things. By the time I'm done with this series, you're going to have that information out there so that you can pull it down and you can start using the forms that we're going to have for you, okay? While you're on the NPS website, I can't stress it enough. There's other information out there. There's going to be other forms out there. There's resources out there. There is so much out there for you guys. It's kind of frustrating that we put a lot of hard work into building that website and putting resources out there for no one to go out there and look at it. You know, I've been trying to direct more people to the photography tab when we're talking about orbs and lens flare and light streaks. There's so much information out there. There's reviews on equipment out there, guys. So take a look at the website. Spend some time out there and get familiar with it. It's getting a little revamped. We've got a huge project we're working on. You guys have seen us teasing it, Project Endeavor. I'm not going to say anything else about it. You're going to have to wait till Candy releases it. But we've got a lot of stuff coming up, and it's really going to be a go-to location for a lot of things. So if there's something other that you don't see, it's probably coming. Shoot us an email. Shoot us a message on Facebook. Let us know what you want to see out there, what we haven't covered, what we need. Let us know, okay? We want to put it out there. We're going to put a lot of education stuff out there. We're really trying to make this a one-stop location for you guys when you're doing your investigations. Yeah, Candy, I couldn't have said it any better. One-night stand investigations are unprofessional and unethical. We're there to help this client and see them through. You don't want to leave them empty-handed. There are a lot of teams that do that, guys, and it's not right. I wouldn't want to be left that way. So let's don't do that. Now, National Paranormal Society, you guys, we're on Facebook. We have a website. We've been talking about all the stuff that's out there. Make sure if you're a team and you're a member of the NPS Facebook site that you do have your team registered with the NPS website. You can go out there underneath the teams tab, and you can submit your information there. That way people can find you. We're talking about this whole investigation series. Let's get you ramped up. Let's get you ready to go. You do not have to have a team to be registered on the NPS website. We will allow individuals, we'll allow mediums and psychics, we'll allow anybody and everybody. And we don't just address ghost hunting or paranormal investigators. We also have cryptozoology. We've got aliens and UFOs. We've got just so much out there, guys, and you're going to start seeing a lot of that. We've got a new show coming up starting next week. I kind of hinted at it at the beginning of the show, and you guys are going to learn so much that I can't wait to get started with it. So over the next few weeks coming up, we're going to go through investigation steps. We're going to look at photo debunking. You guys can start looking at that on the NPS website. We're going to look at photographs. You know, we don't see enough of them on the NPS site. Let's start bringing them to the show. We're going to take NPS member questions. I'm going to start posting out there on Tuesdays questions for you guys. What do you guys want to talk about? What do we need to focus on? What do we need to look at more? What don't you understand that maybe one of the reps has explained to you? We're going to look at that. You're going to see us at the end of the series. We're actually going to start doing some investigations. We're going to be working with fear. We're going to be working with text part. We're going to be working with a lot of other investigators in our local area. If you guys are traveling to the Dallas area, even for vacation, you want to hang out with the crew and go investigate, let me know, because we're going to show a lot of that back on the show. We're going to show you the wrong way of doing stuff and the right way to do stuff. We're going to show you how to go through and look at mist and orbs and all that kind of fun stuff. So also you might want to look at the DNS website for Ghost Hunting 101. We're going to cover a lot of that stuff, and then a lot of that stuff is going to be applied towards NPS 101. Now, we got about 20 minutes left for the show. Yes, Tuesdays for ads only and self-promotion. You guys in the chat room, I love all the people in the chat room. That's the NPS reps. So if you guys really want to interact with us, you don't get enough of us on Facebook on the page, or we're not yelling at you enough on the page, I'm kidding. You can come in the chat room and visit. Starting next week, right after DNS Live, is going to be a new show called NPS Focus. And with NPS Focus, we are going to look at all the different departments within NPS. We started this week. You probably haven't seen it as much. We've been doing some stuff with EVPs with Nicole, but starting this week, we're going to start touching a little bit more on aliens and UFOs. It's kind of our focus for the month. So you're going to see the reps come on weekly between now and the end of the month, and we're going to do a focus on alien and UFOs. We're going to kind of take away from the ghost hunting. Then you're going to see 1 week out of each month, when we're addressing these different departments, the photography team is going to take a look at pictures for that department. So we're going to have some really good alien and UFO pictures that we're going to talk about. What's going to happen on NPS Focus is we're going to bring that person for the week on the show, and we're going to talk about the topics that week. So if you guys have questions on the NPS page and it didn't really get answered, you know, sometimes text is hard to understand, you can come on the show and be in the chat room and ask all of that. So, and we will cover a lot of it. Send in your questions so that we can address those. And we're going to do that throughout the rest of the year. So each month, each department is going to have its own little show and tell. And we're going to talk about all sorts of different things. And then we're going to talk about it on the show. So NPS Focus is going to be huge. With Project Endeavor coming up, you're going to get a little tidbit of that too there. So stay tuned for that. You'll see Project Endeavor being launched here pretty soon. You guys, it's awesome. We've got so much going on at NPS. I mean, we're constantly busy. We're constantly growing. I don't know, does anybody know in the chat room, have we reached 23,000 members yet? Last I checked, we were right underneath it. We've got a lot of members, guys. Lots and lots and lots and lots of good information out there. So NPS Focus is going to focus on that. I'm going to take DNS Live. We're going to actually do more of the investigative type stuff. And then we're going to try to tie some stuff back to what's going on with the NPS so we can kind of keep things rolling that way. If you have any questions for any of the reps or any of the department chairs, get those to us on the NPS page, or you can find us, you can private message us, you can find an email address for NPS out there. Get it to us. That way we know what we need to cover and what we need to look at. You know, we've gone through a lot of stuff tonight. It's definitely been a different show. You guys are used to seeing me cut up and interview other people and have fun with it and kind of do some stuff from the chat room. But we're actually going to take, you know, a different approach with DNS Live now. We're actually going to get into the nitty-gritty of things. There's just been a lot of confusion in the community with new investigators. We've got people joining NPS that they've never even been on a ghost hunt, and they're posting pictures. They want to know what's going on. So, we kind of cater to everywhere from A to Z on the page. We're taking care of things. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. With NPS Focus next week. Eddie, and Eddie doesn't know this yet. Candy, I'll let you do the honors of filling him in. Eddie has next week's topic, and he is going to be on the show talking about aliens and UFOs next week. So if you guys have questions regarding that, get that to either Candy or myself or Eddie so we can address that next week. NPS Focus is going to be fun. I'm not sure how we're going to work it for the first show and how it's going to be, who's going to be leading it, but I can tell you right now it's going to be a lot of fun, so you don't want to miss that. Yes, a surprise. Eddie, is Eddie even in the chat room? You guys are going to have to give him a hard time on the rep wall, let him know that he's going to be on point next week. Sorry, it happens, but you know what? The rest of you guys better go look at what your week is, because you get a week. That week is when you're going to be on the show, so there's another surprise. So go check out your weeks. All right, let's go ahead. Let's talk about sponsors. We have a new sponsor for DNS Live, but I'm going to run through all of our sponsors, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. It's kind of weird. It's still light out, Eric. I just don't know what to do anymore. All right, we want to give a huge shout out to Paranologies. Jeremy's got some new stuff out. We got to see it a couple of weeks ago at Granbury. Saving up my money, there's a couple of new things that I want to get, so make sure and check Jeremy out at Paranologies. Scott Frederick Photography. You're going to see a lot of his stuff coming up. You see a lot of it now with the NPS post. He's actually doing a little bit more real estate photography now, and some of his pictures have been recently published in some pretty big magazines. So go check him out, kind of give him a pat on the back, give him some kudos. He's really getting to be pretty known out there for some of his real estate pictures now. We also want to give a shout out to Blessed Bee. You guys, if y'all need some good stuff, I'm getting ready to start buying some crystals. If you guys need some good stuff, go check out Blessed Bee. They have some awesome deals, some awesome stuff out there. Go check them out and tell them where you saw them. And our newest sponsor is Front Range Ghost Shop, and that's actually run by one of our NPS reps, Arthur. So we want to make sure you guys go and check them out. That's Front Range Ghost Shop. Check them out, and if you need some stuff, see what you can click on there and put in your cart. So we've got the 4 sponsors. If you want to sponsor the show, we are allowing teams to come on and sponsor the show. So if you want to get your team name out there, give me a ring or shoot me a message on Facebook or send me an email and let me know when you talk about it. So next week we're going to finish up with talking some more about investigations. Again, if you guys have any questions over what we covered tonight, we're going to kind of go into it in a little bit more detail. Each week we'll kind of start off high level and then get into some more details after that. There's really going to be a lot to cover, so take notes. The show will be archived if you guys want to hear about stuff that's going on. You guys know where to find all that stuff. So we should be rocking and rolling with this new show. It just feels weird that it's still light out when I'm used to it being dark. So anybody in the chat room, did I miss anything tonight? You guys want me to hammer again on anything else? What do we have going on? Yes, Parabud talks about clearing up some of the Hollywood misconceptions. What you see in the movies and what you see on TV is not what happens in the paranormal field. Safety, we're definitely going to talk about safety, you guys. We cannot talk and stress about safety enough. We are going to cover that. And again, if you want to look at something between now and the time that we cover it, go check out the NPS page, Health and Safety. Alan has done a lot of hard work putting some stuff together. Nicole's listening, but it won't let her sign in. You know, sometimes the chat room is just like that. You guys, did we miss anything tonight? Just kind of beginning, anything you guys have seen on the NPS page when we're talking about kind of stepping into investigation and doing stuff? You guys see anything? We have Candy's Paratard in the room. You guys miss all the fun stuff that we do. All the fun stuff. All right, so we pretty much covered everything. All right, you know, we're going to end a little early. I never end early. I don't know what to do with myself. You guys sure we don't have anything else?
Well, hey, Sheri, I typed in the chat room hydration, especially this time of year.
Yeah, well, especially here in Texas, you guys. Make sure that you're always carrying at least a couple of bottles of water with you. Not the caffeinated drinks, not the monsters. You can do your 5-hour energy, but make sure you've got some water. Or at least be at a location where you can get some water. You know, take a glass and get some water, but make sure that you've got that. Make sure that you're actually also keeping your sugar levels up so that you don't get any headaches, and so that you don't get weak. You know, like I said, a lot of times, a lot of teams will like to go out and have a team dinner and then go and investigate. So make sure that you're aware of growling stomachs and that type of thing. And you guys, it's probably a good thing, and I probably should have put it down with the equipment bag. You should have a first aid kit in your bag. And that first aid kit should be, it could be the Johnson & Johnson basic first aid kit, but you need to apply it to where you're going. So if you're going someplace where there's, you know, a lake or a river, make sure that you've added something to your first aid kit to deal with that. Just be smart when you're going out there. Make sure you've got some Band-Aids. Make sure you've got, you know what you need, your basics, your antibiotic ointment, your aspirin. Make sure that you have reviewed your members packets for your team members to know who's allergic to what as well, because you may have somebody that may be allergic to bee stings or that may be allergic to something else, and they've got a special medication that you can carry. Make sure you've got that on hand too, okay? So just be smart, have a checklist for your safety, take care of your team, take care of each other. Always have extra water bottles. We can all run to Wally World and pick up a 24-pack of water for about $4. There's no excuse not to have enough water. Allergy meds, definitely you guys want to keep maybe something like a Sudafed or definitely a Benadryl in your pack. Aspirin for Deegan. Deegan also has to take Tylenol. So we keep Tylenol. It doesn't work for me, but it works for him. So just think about some of the things that you might need. Pepper spray. Seriously, Nicole, we need pepper spray. Yeah, mask for asbestos. And for, you know, if you guys are going out to a dusty place, you might want to make sure and protect your lungs. Excedrin has caffeine. Excedrin is sometimes good for headaches too. What else do you guys want to put on here? An EpiPen. Not bad to have an EpiPen, guys. Just make sure you know who you're going out with, and you know what you need for that person. You may have somebody that's allergic to aspirin or can't take Advil, so you need to have something else on hand for them. If you come across wild animals that cause them to run off, you know what? Deegan actually carries an airsoft gun. We don't use pepper spray. We just kind of, we don't do that. All right, so you guys, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to see you guys on the rep wall here in a little bit after I grab some dinner. We'll see you guys next week. If you guys want to go over anything on investigations, message me. We'll go over it next week. Otherwise, it's kind of been a weird show, but this is how we're going to start doing things from now on until we start investigating. And then you guys can make fun of how we look in the dark running around chasing after ghosts. So, here comes Bud. Here comes my Bud. You guys go check out the Fear. Is it on the web page, Selena? Or is it on the NPS page? Go check out the Fear page. There's a great deal going on and a paranormal weekend coming up where you can practice some of the stuff we talked about tonight. So check it out, Fear Paranormal. If you can't find it, it's on their Facebook page. If you can't find it, message me on the DNS page and I'll get it to you. But they are doing some fun stuff, and Selena and I are actually going to kind of get offline and talk about some public investigations coming up in the DFW area that you guys can join us for. And we're actually going to film it and show it on the show. So we actually get to go over showing you how to do some stuff and kind of looking at some things. So until next week, guys, I'm out. Have a great weekend. In debunk, and we've got to look at a bunch of stuff. So we're going to start with investigations. We're going to start kind of with a ghost hunting 101. You guys, a lot of this information you will be able to find on the NPS page. I'll make reference to it where I've got it marked. We're kind of going to go through a slide presentation tonight, which is different for DNS Live, and we are doing it different, so get used to it. And then a lot of this information as well is on the DNS Paranormal Crew page underneath the Ghost Hunting 101 tab. So if you guys ever want to go back and look at some stuff, look at some steps, or even print some stuff out, you can find it there as well. So let's go ahead, let's get started. The first picture that we're going to look at, what's involved in pre-investigative work. This is actually a picture from Eastern State Penitentiary, and I can't talk tonight. This is actually taken by Scott Frederick, who is one of our sponsors. This is one of those really active places that a lot of people have been to, so I just thought it was fitting to start off the show tonight. So we're going to go ahead and move to the next slide, and we're going to talk about proving and disproving. So one of my favorite quotes here from Sherlock Holmes is, "How often have I said to you that when you have a limit, hunting is simply looking for haunted locations where investigations are controlled research and investigations conducting at a location with paranormal activity to determine the level of activity and spirit involvement." So we've got two different things. Teams are going to go out, they're going to go ghost hunting. They're going to look for a location that is active. You're doing your research, you're scoping it out. You've had a client call, you've had a business client call. You're ghost hunting, you're looking for a location. A paranormal investigation is where you've found this location, then you're going off and you are going to do actual work. You're not just looking to see, you're not just taking your pictures of the area so you can go back home and kind of, hey, what do I think about this? A paranormal investigation, you are actually doing the work. You're actually showing up, you're documenting, you're taking pictures, you're videoing, you're doing EVP, you're measuring temperature, you're measuring your EMF, you're working when you're investigating and researching, okay? Typically, an investigation will consist of a team of individuals working together to collect evidence of paranormal activity. We talk about teams. These individuals will employ the use of several basics of investigating. Let's look at what we need to do to get ready for an investigation. I'm going to kind of take it from the standpoint of working with a client, but this would apply to any public location you might go to, a cemetery that you might go to, really any investigation. So we really have to think not just within the paranormal realm of taking pictures and capturing video and EVP, but we really need to look at the environment and everything around us as well as we're starting to investigate. So we're going to kind of start with the basics. If you're new to the field, this is going to be right up your alley because we're going to walk through step by step. And I'm going to take a couple of weeks to do this because I really want to go through it before you start watching us go live on investigations so that things make sense to you. You understand why we're doing some of the things that we're doing, why we look funny doing some of the stuff that we do, because we really need to get an understanding of things. We can't just, and it's been happening, we can't just post a picture out there on the NPS site and say, I caught an orb. We've been seeing a lot of that. This picture's paranormal. Guys, we've got to start. The impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. This can apply to so many different things, guys. This can apply to so much. But we're going to apply it to the paranormal and to investigating, especially when we're looking at ruling things out and debunking. We've got to take away what we know first before we can get to what we don't know and start looking at it being paranormal. So let's go ahead and let's get to it here tonight. What is a paranormal investigation? You guys, we've heard it called ghost hunting. We've heard it called paranormal investigations. What is a paranormal investigation? There is a difference between the two. You'll hear people talk about it. Ghost hunting is the process of going and looking for a location to find activity, where a paranormal investigation is where you're actually taking your equipment and you're conducting an investigation. You're actually looking for something. So let's get down to the slide. A paranormal investigation is the process of investigating locations, residences, and or businesses that are reported to be haunted or have paranormal activity, sometimes referred to as ghost hunting. Now remember, we just said there's a difference. An investigation differs in that Thursday night, DNS Live. You know, this is the first show. We've missed the first two. Sorry about that. We had computer issues, and then we had a little hospital visit last week, so we kind of didn't get the show off like we wanted to, but we're getting it off tonight. I'm glad you guys can make it. It is so weird being on during the daylight and being on early, but I think it's going to be pretty good. Next week we'll have a new show on after me, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show. So I think you guys are going to be pretty pleased with Thursday nights. Now we're going to kind of kick it in the ass and get it going. So tonight we're going to start off. We've been seeing a lot of questions and some requests on the NPS page about investigations. We're starting to see people post some pictures that are a little questionable. Kind of want to go back to the